Please rise for the Thai national anthem. Kindly remain standing for the Indian national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Jai Ho, Jai Ho, Jai Ho. Honorable Minister of External Affairs of India, Ambassador of India to the Kingdom of Thailand, welcome to the meet and greet event with Indian diaspora. My name is Varinder Sachdev. Very honored to be welcoming you back. It was August 16th last year when you were here, and we're also delighted to be welcoming you back to our beautiful kingdom. Before we kick off with the program for this evening, we would like to excite you with some mesmerizing patriotic performances. Allow me to give some brief introduction of the performances. The first one will be choreographed by ICCR scholar Inkarat, or we call her Pra in Thai. She is an aspiring Thai Kathak artist, and she'll be performing along with Thai artists from SVCC and Bandit Patana College of Dramatic Arts in Bangkok. This performance conveys patriotic and valiant messages, showcasing diversity of Indian culture. And this performance will be followed by another incredible talent of the students from Riza Dance Academy, mesmerizing with spirit and grace, presenting breathtaking performances on a captivating Indian medley. And you can sing along if you like, which ensures that we'll be moved by how they love their motherland, Bharat Mata. So please give them a big round of applause. Jai Ho! Jai! The greatest soft power one could ever ask for, our music, our dance, our kala. A big round of applause for Kalakar from Riza Dance Academy, and before that, Kun Inkarat or Kun Pra and her fellow artists. Now we will proceed to the official part of this evening. I would like to invite on the stage to deliver the official welcome speech to all of us, Indian diaspora. I would like to invite on the stage the President of the India-Thai Chamber of Commerce, ITCC, Mr. Sushil Kumar Dhanuka.
Namaskar. Honorable Minister of External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar, you can see Ambassador of India to Thailand, Sri Nagesh Singh ji, and respected senior officers of Government of India, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor and privilege for me to welcome Honorable Dr. S. Jaishankar, the esteemed External Affairs Minister of India, on behalf of the India-Thai Chamber of Commerce and the Indian diaspora in Thailand. I also thank the Indian Embassy for facilitating this meet and greet with Dr. Jaishankar ji. Most of all, I am grateful to Honorable Dr. Jaishankar ji for taking time from his busy schedule to meet us. India today stands at one of the most important inflection points in its long storied history. It recently became the most populous nation in the world, which along with its low median age, gives it a huge demographic dividend. India is one of the fastest growing major economies of the world, with the 5th highest GDP and likely to be 3rd in next few years. These are facts that we all know well by now, but they are worth remembering, especially for those like me who emigrated from India many years ago. There are many of us for whom the India of today was unthinkable dream when we left for better opportunities. And it gives us immense pride when we see our Matrabhumi prosper and grow. It makes us prouder still when India is spoken at in every positive terms by both global leaders and common people alike. Make no mistake about it, though we have left India or even taken up citizenship elsewhere, we the Indian diaspora benefit tremendously from this new India. And for this, we have to sincerely thank the tireless efforts of the Modi ji government and Honorable Dr. S. Jaishankar. Without a doubt, the marked shift in the views of the India and Indians in the past decade is in no small part due to him. Your Excellency, we are especially honored by your visit to the Kingdom of Thailand, for we strongly believe that the deep and ancient ties that once existed between India and Thailand can be fostered again. The relationship between the two countries is strong, and with India's Act East policy will be stronger still. Two things will help tremendously towards this: people-to-people exchange and bilateral trade. We have seen a large growth in the former in the recent years with, of course, increasing number of Indian tourists to Thailand, but also increasing interest in India among Thais. As a small example of it, the more and more Thais today are learning Hindi than ever before, and more Thai universities are setting up Indian-centric faculties. The steps the India government has taken towards this are commendable, and I hope will continue to grow. Bilateral trade and mutual investment are the other important pillar of the strengthening of relationship. As the world looks diversified supply chain, both nations stand to benefit and should build upon each other's areas of strength. Thailand can leverage India's strength in IT to become a hub for the digital and technology in ASEAN countries, while India can perhaps benefit from Thailand's expertise in food processing and automotive manufacturing. These are, of course, just examples of the immense potential that exists between two nations that have been close since ancient time. We are grateful for the Indian Embassy here in Thailand that has made such a high priority and work hard towards realizing this dream. The ITCC and its members share this vision and are committed to playing an important role. Once again, I thank Honorable Dr. S. Jaishankar ji for spending his precious time with us and look forward for this memorable evening. Thank you all. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you for a lovely introduction, Mr. Sushil Kumar Dhanuka, the President of the ITCC. And now I'd like to invite to the podium, to the stage, Ambassador of India to the Kingdom of Thailand, to the podium, Mr. Nagesh Singh. Please give him a big round of applause.
Good evening and Swadi Khap. Honorable Minister for External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar, Madam Jaishankar, Secretary East, Shri Saurabh Kumar, President of the ITCC, Dhanuka ji, and other members of the ITCC board, distinguished members of the Indian diaspora, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure and privilege to welcome the Honorable External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, and Mrs. Jaishankar, to this special function here today. Sir, we thank you for accepting this invite and gracing the occasion. Your presence here in Thailand for the second time in less than a year is a testament to the importance which the Government of India and you personally attach to our civilizational and multifaceted relationship with Thailand and the region. Friends, Dr. Jaishankar needs no introduction. I'm sure that all of you know about him. He is today one of the most followed and, dare I say, admired foreign ministers on the planet. And and sir, I am not indulging in flattery here. This is out of personal experience in the last 7 months in this country, where in National Day events, young diplomats walk up to me, sir, from other countries, and talk about, your speech here or there, and admiring what you've said on this or that aspect of diplomacy and international affairs. I also want to make a confession, sir. I plagiarize and copy a lot of things which you say, but those are the best arguments I can get. So I very seriously follow whatever you say in every part of the world, but I'm confessing today a lot of it comes from what the minister says in his speeches and in his writings. So, like I said, he's one of the most admired foreign ministers on the planet, not just for his skills as a practitioner of diplomacy, but also as a scholar and a thinker who is impacting diplomacy as an academic pursuit. Dr. Jaishankar's illustrious diplomatic career in the Indian Foreign Service, spanning 38 years, has seen him serve as the country with great distinction as India's ambassador to the United States, China, Singapore, and the Czech Republic. Besides these and several other overseas assignments, Dr. Jaishankar was also served at the headquarters as the Foreign Secretary of India. For those who don't know, it's the senior most non-political post in the Government of India. He's the bureaucratic head of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He's considered by many to have played a seminal role in negotiating the historic India-US nuclear deal in 2008. Dr. Jaishankar has gone on to become the first foreign secretary and only the second career diplomat ever to become India's foreign minister. He is also a member of parliament from Gujarat in Rajya Sabha. Sir, India-Thailand relations are civilizational and based on shared traditions and common beliefs. A fertile cross-pollination of our two societies over the millennia through continuous exchange of people, goods and ideas has created indelible bonds which are clearly visible in everyday life in this wonderful country. The relationship is ever growing and is on an upward trajectory. It is a partnership which covers the entire gamut of issues from political to economic, from defense to security, from people-to-people exchanges to various other sectors. You have just come from the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting in Indonesia to attend the BIMSTEC and Mekong Ganga Cooperation Foreign Ministers meeting, which is a reflection of our close engagement in the multilateral framework as well. As the center of gravity of global geopolitics and economics is shifting to the Indo-Pacific region, India-Thailand relations have limitless possibilities in every aspect of our bilateral ties. Towards the realization of these objectives, our biggest asset, sir, is the presence of a large, diverse, dynamic, and a successful diaspora in this country. The Indian community in Thailand has deep roots in this society. Some of them have been here for over a century, if not more. And they are a microcosm of the diversity, complexity, and the vibrancy of the society back home in India. Nevertheless, they are all united in their unbridled love for and devotion to the mother country. The Indian community in Thailand serves as a living bridge between India and Thailand. It is a great source of strength for us, sir, as we try and build a robust and a comprehensive bilateral relationship with Thailand. I take this opportunity to thank the Indian community, the ITCC, and all those who have made this event possible for their continuous and unwavering support and friendship towards the embassy and all our efforts in this country. I also note that this fine audience which has gathered here today is impatient to listen to you, sir, rather than to me. So without wasting any more time, it is my honor to invite you to kindly address us and share your thoughts on various issues, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Ambassador Nagesh, let me assure you, you're not the only one plagiarizing or stealing quotes of minister. As a news anchor, I do that all the time, and I'm very thankful that we have people like you, so I can put India on the world map as a news anchor in Thai media. So without further ado, I'd like to invite on the stage, and as a news anchor, allow me to say your name in full, Dr. Subramaniam Jayashankar.
Namaskar, Swadikap, good evening to all of you. Ambassador Nagesh Singh, my colleague, Secretary Saurabh Kumarji, the ITCC leadership, my brothers and sisters. It's good to be back. It's good to be back to meet all of you and to share with you how our relations are doing, to take from you the ideas, the thoughts, the energy, and let me begin with an apology. I know the program started late, but in my defense, my plane was late, so I changed as quickly as I could and came here. But really, it's a great pleasure to see you all today, and this is my third visit as Foreign Minister to Thailand, and I hope to keep coming. So now I know that the ambassador mentioned some of you have been here. Your families have been here more than 100 years. Some of you have come more recently. But I'm sure every one of you must be following today the news about India, what is happening in India, right? So you would have seen today Prime Minister Modi was in the United Arab Emirates. Yesterday he was a guest of honor in the Bastille Day, the National Day in France, where our military contingent went past. Some weeks ago, you would have seen he was in the United States. I'm sure you followed that, right? Then you would have also seen 2 days ago, we had the Chandrayaan-3 launch, right? And every day, there is some news coming out of India. There is a Vande Bharat train, there is a 6-lane expressway through Rajasthan, there is a water metro in Kochi, there is some development project in Chhattisgarh. So you can see that things are happening in India. And I mention that today because for our community, for people who may be Indian nationals or people who have taken the nationality of the society they live in, what is happening in India is of great interest. Because at the end of the day, as Prime Minister once said, हमारा रिश्ता खून का रिश्ता है, पासपोर्ट का नहीं. Now, where Thailand is concerned, because that is really what I want to share my thoughts with you. Because you are all stakeholders, you are shareholders. Like ITCC has people in it, the relationship also has people. Each one of you has shares in this relationship. You have a right to know what is happening. You have a contribution to make. You have benefits to gain. So, I want you today to spend a little time with me. I would like to walk you through this relationship, explain where we are. And I would like to begin really by saying, in 2022, we marked the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 years of the independence of India. Now, there are some special countries in the world with whom 75 years of independence is also 75 years of our modern diplomatic relations. And Thailand happens to be one of them. That from 1947, when we gained our independence, this was one of the earliest countries with which we established our relationship. So, for us, when we look at our own milestones, these are also the milestones of this relationship. I mean, we have, of course, I think the ambassador also mentioned to it, and in a way, I would say the community itself is testimony that our relationship goes back well before independence, but certainly in the modern period, that is what is important. Now, over the years, it has really grown. It has grown, and you are example of it. You are example of it in this room, and there are many more of us across this country who may not be here with us in the room today, but who are also the outcome of the growth of the relationship. And this relationship really took off, and you are witnesses of this. This really took off in the 1990s. It took off in the 1990s because we started in India in 1992, this period of reform. The period of reform also saw a policy called Look East policy. This is when we engaged the countries of the ASEAN. So, for us, this is not just a relationship. It is not even a relationship which began, as I said, in 1947 in the modern form. It is, of course, a relationship which goes back in history, but it is a relationship that is associated with reform and change in India. So, this period that we are talking about, especially the last 25 years, this is a time when this relationship has grown very much. At the same time, where Thailand is concerned, just like we had a Look East policy, they had a Look West policy. And for us it started in 92, for them it started in 97. So, and in due course, when Prime Minister Modi became Prime Minister in India, he felt, this looking east, वो देखने से कुछ ज़्यादा होता नहीं है, कुछ करना, ज़्यादा करना भी चाहिए. So, looking became acting. And it wasn't only a terminology. If you look after 2014, our connectivity has grown, our defense and security relationship has grown, our economic engagement has grown, our community has grown. And the same sentiment actually we have also seen from the side of the Thai government. So, what I have really, in a sense, the big context I want to share with you is, this is a historic, it's a cultural relationship of many centuries actually. It is a relationship which started flowering again after independence. It got greater momentum in the 1990s. But the last 10 years have been a very, very different period for this relationship. And you all know that many of you welcomed Prime Minister when he came here in 2019. I had the privilege of traveling with him at that time. I still remember at that time we had released a commemorative coin on the 550th birth anniversary of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, that we had released a Thai version of the Tirukural. So it was a very, very memorable visit. And of course he had come here once also earlier in 2016, if my memory serves me right. We were on our way to Japan, but the Prime Minister decided that he must come and pay his respects to His late Majesty. So we had come on that occasion. So you can see that this is a period, the very frequency of high-level visits, the fact that I myself am here 3 times, as Ambassador said, is itself a statement of importance, of priority, of how much we today value this relationship. Now, of course, between India and Thailand, in every way, the relationship has grown. I will talk about it. But I am just coming today after 3 days in Jakarta, where every year there is a meeting of what is called the ASEAN format, that the ASEAN ministers meet. After the ASEAN ministers finish meeting, next day they meet a select group of countries with whom they have ASEAN India or ASEAN whichever country is. So we did that meeting. Then there is a larger group which has some other countries like the US and Russia in it. And there is a still larger group which is called a regional forum. So each of these take half a day. These are very, I would say, perhaps today some of the most important meetings where the leaders, representatives from across the world come. And in this, the ASEAN and Thailand especially plays a very crucial role. And so that ASEAN annual engagement today is a way of always refreshing and taking forward our relationship with Thailand. But it is not only the ASEAN format. I am here today because tomorrow and day after we have 2 other important meetings in which both India and Thailand are members. One is a meeting of all the neighboring countries of the Bay of Bengal. So together, so you have Thailand, you have India, you have Bangladesh, and the countries which use Bay of Bengal like Nepal. So these countries gather, and this grouping today is actually developing an agenda of its own. We are discovering that between us, we can actually change what is happening around the Bay of Bengal and develop linkages and relationships with ourselves. The second meeting is what is called the Mekong-Ganga meeting, which is the countries of the Mekong, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar. They meet with us. And this Mekong-Ganga, it has of course a certain historical, cultural message, but it is also a way by which we sit down and develop our ties. In addition to that, Thailand as a coastal country, it is part of an Indian Ocean grouping of which we are members, something called the Indian Ocean Rim Association. So the reason I am telling you this is when we look as a government in diplomacy at Thailand, it is not only our relationship between India and Thailand. For us, we meet Thailand in many other formats, in many other gatherings. In cases, there is something called Asian Community for Democracy, ACD. So there are 5 or 6 formats, gatherings, meetings, which take place every year and which have sometimes multiple follow-up activities. So Thailand today, for us, because there are not that many countries in the world where we meet so often in such a sort of sustained manner as we do with Thailand. And that is one of the reasons today why there is so much cooperation, why there is so much contact, why there is so much comfort between India and Thailand. Now, having said that, let me talk about the relationship, and I think it perhaps would be right for me to begin with the economic side. And the fact is, today our trade is close to $18 billion annually. It was, last year was the highest ever trade that we had. And I congratulate all of you, because you have really made that possible. And I believe, given the growth in India, that if you look at major economies in the world today, there are not many major economies which are growing above 5%. We hope today, despite all the problems in the world, to come closer to 7% growth. We are very confident that this growth rate will actually improve in the next. We will be able to sustain it, not just this decade, the decade thereafter. So this 17 billion is actually only, in a way, a kind of a milestone as part of a larger business, economic, cooperative relationship that we have. Now again, we try to find ways of growing this trade. It has been helped by the fact that we have a free trade agreement. The ASEAN Free Trade Agreement is currently under review. One of the issues on which we agreed on day before yesterday in Jakarta was that we will find ways of speeding it up so that we make it more user-friendly, less bureaucratic, business community has less problems. How do we make your life simpler in dealing with India, or from the Indian side in dealing with Thailand? That is what we are trying to do on the economic side, and I'm very confident that we will progress in that regard. The second is with regard to security, because security matters to every country. And, you know, Thailand, in a way, is a neighbor across, some amount of water. If you look at the closest points of India and the closest points of Thailand, they are not that far away. The Andaman Sea is just across a little bit of water there. And again, what we have seen today is, whether it is the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, we exercise regularly. That there is, Thailand hosts this exercise called Cobra Gold every year. We are present there as observers. We do, in fact, a naval exercise, not with Thailand, but with other countries as well, including Singapore, called SITMEX. We do a exercise on the Air Force side called EAM Bharat. So these contacts between the military, they actually create, like it does in business, like it does in culture. So the more you contact, the more you deal with, the more you work together, then the relationship grows. And certainly I would say today, on the security and defense side, we have progressed a lot. There are, of course, other parts of the relationship, and parts which all of you have a very understandable interest. How do we grow connectivity? One of the primary areas of interest for the Indian community anywhere, for example, is the frequency of air flights. How many air flights to how many cities? Now, it's not so bad in Thailand, but I am very confident that as the reform in the Indian airline sector picks up, that actually you will, in fairly short order, get probably much more points into India, much easier connectivity into India, and that is something which we believe is very, very good for the relationship. But the real challenge today before us, one which we are working on, is how do we build road connectivity between Thailand and India? That for many years, we have this project from northeast India, that if we build a road through Myanmar, and that road connects up with what Thailand will be building towards Myanmar, if we can link this up, it is something called India, Myanmar, Thailand Trilateral Highway, then that will be a real game changer. Because the moment you get road connectivity, especially a good quality multiple lane road, which then even movement of goods, movement of people will undergo actually an enormous change. But it has been a very difficult project. It has been a very difficult project, mainly because of the situation in Myanmar. And one of our priorities today is to find ways of how to resume this project, how to unlock it, how to make it, because large parts of the project have been built. So there are parts of the project which have been built, there are parts of it which need to be connected, so there are bridges which need to be made, there are sections which need to be broadened, there are some new pathways which need to be created. But if we can do this, and this is something we give great priority to, if we can do this, for us, our relationship with Thailand and with ASEAN will actually, many more possibilities will open up. So that is one of the issues which today is under discussion between us and Thailand, and also with the authorities in Myanmar. Now, I have spoken about our relationship, but any relationship, whether it's personal or whether it's between countries or between communities, every relationship, the true character of that relationship comes out when it is tested. And I want to say that when all of us passed through the COVID period, I remember still, Prime Minister Modi had created a group of ministers, we were 6 of us, who were coordinating for the COVID response of the government. And so it was the initial phase, then Delta came, how do we create the infrastructure. But I particularly remember when the Delta wave came and we went through an oxygen crisis. I remember the contribution which the Indian community in Thailand made to us. And the oxygen concentrators and because that was really a very difficult time, very desperate time for us, because we were stretched. We had set up an infrastructure, but even such a massive infrastructure actually came under pressure. So whether it was a large, especially the oxygen issue was something which was very, very stressful. And at that time, all the support that the Indian community gave from Thailand, it really stands out in my memory, and I would like to once again thank you all for it. But equally, because as I said, during the COVID period, there were many countries who thought only about themselves. There were some countries who thought about everybody. And I would say, it is in a way natural. Those who thought about others, others also thought about them. So just like we gained in many ways by the support and understanding of other countries in the world, because we produced a lot of vaccines, but for the vaccines to be produced, you needed, some of you would know the pharmaceutical industry, that you needed a supply chain to come in. So other countries cooperated for that supply chain to work. So similarly, when the vaccines were made, we were among the countries who really stepped forward in terms of giving the vaccines to many of our partner countries. And I am proud of the fact that in the case of Thailand, we actually, as part of a larger Quad initiative, but it was India which supplied the Covovax vaccines, 200,000 doses to Thailand. And when we look around the world, it is something which for us is understandably a matter of great pride. So, as I said, today I feel that our relationship is doing well. We have regular contacts at my level, at the Prime Minister's level. In fact, we had recently, at the beginning of this year, a gathering, virtual gathering of 125 countries. And this was something called Voice of the Global South. And we had the Prime Minister of Thailand participate in it. So the sum and substance of what I'm telling you is, today it's a very solid relationship, a relationship with great comfort, great goodwill, lot of cooperation. Our task is how to grow it, how to increase the trade, how to expand the investment, how to improve the connectivity, how to, for example, how to promote culture. So these two excellent examples that we saw, these are examples today of our cultural cooperation, of our cultural activities. I was very, again, glad to learn that, the teaching of Indian languages, jo aapne kaha that, there is more interest in learning Hindi. I know that some of the universities, last time I was here, I had a chance to visit one of them. So these are all very good signs. We are very happy about it. But ultimately, we look to you to take it forward and grow with it. Now, having spoken about the relationship, as I said, you all have a natural interest to know what is, how things are going in India. And I want to share with you the picture in a very objective way. Because, you all know, the India is a country of great achievements. It's also a country which continues to face very daunting challenges. We have done a lot in 75 years, but there is so much more that we have to do, especially as Prime Minister Modi has told us, over the next 25 years. That the target today is by 2047. How do we make India into a developed country? This is the vision of what is called the Amrit Kal, the next 25 years. And that is really today the task before us. And that task is being accomplished in a variety of ways. It is being done through Make in India, so that there is more manufacturing in India. There is a huge infrastructure change today. I don't know how often you visit India, but any of you who's been there, especially I would say last 3-4 years, there is no place, no town, no city, not even a big village today where you will not see something happening. The roads are being built, metros are happening, bridges are being constructed, airports are changing, railway station is undergoing a transformation. So, and lot of this is happening as part of a vision, in an integrated way. It's called something called Gati Shakti. That under Gati Shakti, the idea is how do you integrate every part of the infrastructure, apply the most modern technology, so that we need an infrastructure that is truly worthy of a developed country, and we have the capability today with the benefit of technology, with all the modern conveniences that are common, with the kind of vision that we have, the ambition that we have, that by 2047 we have no doubt that we will end up there. But it is something which really every decade you are actually going to see an infrastructure revolution in India, and the first one is already well underway. The other big change in India is the digital change. Now, digital is happening everywhere in the world. We all know that. I'm sure that there's not a single person in this room who's not carrying a phone. Right? And I, in fact, thank you, because you mostly looked at me and not checked your phone for the last 20 minutes. And that must be very difficult to do. Even I have a problem, because I've left my phone there. I've not checked it also for the last 20 minutes. But how digital we have become. That we get up in the morning, you want to see what is the weather, you will look at the phone. You want to see how crowded it is what is the driving time to where you have to go, you will look at your phone. In every way today, but the difference today in India is how that digital, which is an enormous personal convenience for all of us, that digital today is helping to bring about a change in India. That digital will ensure that the kind of problems India had, problems which, before 10 years ago, we thought we will not be able to overcome or will take us decades to overcome. Today we are crunching that timeline, that something which would have happened in 20 years is happening in 2 years. Something which would have happened in 2 years would happen in 2 months. And I will give you the example. Even during COVID, one of our, during COVID, obviously the biggest problem was health. That you had to create really thousands of places where people with COVID could go and get treatment or be isolated. You had to create production for things which we did not, people did not even hear of before. Ventilators, PPEs. You had to increase medicine, the production of pharmaceuticals went up depending, things like even paracetamol went up 10x during the COVID period because the demand went up so much. But other than health, and of course there was a vaccine challenge, but other than health, we often forget there was another very big challenge at that time, which was the food challenge. That millions of people went back from their place of work to their place of origin. Many of them did not have access to their livelihood. When you lock down the informal economy, the street vendors, exactly what would have, it would be experience not different from Thailand. That, the shopkeepers, the street vendors, the people who make their living and the families that they support from the everyday routine of life, when you stop that routine, what happens to them? And what happens then to their livelihood, what happens to their food supply? And at that time, using the digital platform, with the Aadhaar as the backbone, with the fact that Prime Minister had this vision of creating, he had this vision as soon as he came in, one of his first programs was something called Jan Dhan Yojana. He was after everybody saying, please open a bank account. People didn't understand it in 2014 and 2015 and 2016. But when bank accounts were opened, when Aadhaar card was there, when a lot of it was linked to the phone. Now, this became a system actually of reaching out to a country of 1.4 billion. That through this COVID period, and today it continues even now, 800 million people get direct food support from the government. Direct food support from the government without it being siphoned off by people on the way, as it used to happen before. 450 million people, 1/3 of the country, get money into their bank accounts. There's nobody in between who's taking a cut. That they get directly paid into their bank accounts. And I must tell you, a vast majority of them are women. And these payments into the bank account and the food that people got. Already we had a program, even before COVID, that people of very low income groups, vulnerable sections, were getting food through the ration system. But during COVID, their entitlements were doubled. So we actually went through this COVID with an enormous amount of food and financial support. So the society actually was stable, the society actually felt that they were being looked after. And I can tell you, personally, as someone who even during the lockdown period, we were moving around talking to people, when the morale of society was kept up during COVID, and that was one of the toughest things to do. How do you keep up the morale of people who find themselves cut off from their workplace? The morale was kept up because actually they found that their basic needs were being looked after. Now, I'm giving you the COVID period. But before COVID and especially after COVID, this whole digital system, what we call public digital infrastructure, today is being applied across the country. This is actually the revolution taking place in India. That in the last few years, government has built and given close to 35 million houses. 35 million houses at 5 people per house means about 160 million people have actually got housing, which they did not have before. That today there is a program of health access called Jan Arogya Yojana. You would have heard of this vision called Ayushman Bharat. That today about 1/3 of India is able to medically get medical access because of the digital identity and the access that it provides. And obviously our intention is that we will do it in the coming years universally. It's growing very rapidly. So even in agriculture, we go out, I go out from time to time, so do other members of parliament. We go out and meet the farmers. Farmers for every crop get a certain amount of support for the crop, for the seeds, for the fertilizers. And we know exactly that in that village, these are the people who are entitled to it. So we can actually tell them, please come and collect what it is. If somebody has not actually got the benefit, I can actually tell you this person has not got it. So the India which some of you may not have visited for some time, that India today is being governed very differently. That today we have built a kind of a technology-supported, socially sensitive governance model. And I must tell you, when I go across the world, obviously as foreign minister people talk foreign policy to me. But the maximum interest there is today in the world is this area. That what are you doing? And it's not just an interest of, I've had from Bill Gates to Michael Bloomberg, from Satya Nadella to, Elon Musk. Everybody today is looking at this digital India and looking at how the digital talent and the digital, I would say, network infrastructure is today being applied to governance. And that is really, when we say confidently that we have it in us in the next 25 years to become a developed country, this is one of the reasons for our confidence. Now, in addition to that, I want to say that, in the last few years, there are a few other things happened, and some of it you yourself know. That when I see how does the world look at us today, I see in the attitude, in the faces of people I meet, a different assessment of India. And naturally, I ask myself, okay, why is it that is happening? And it is happening actually because they are reacting and responding to what we are achieving. I gave you the digital example. I gave you the COVID example. There are 100 countries in the world for whom, when they think of COVID, in their minds, actually it is India. That the first set of vaccines for many, many countries. I've personally experienced it. It can be a minister. I've even seen it from street vendors. Sometimes they may not. I've had this experience when I went to Central America. They knew that I was Indian. We could not communicate because I didn't speak Spanish and they didn't speak English. But they did COVID and they did, Modi ji sign. So that consciousness today is there in the world. But other than that, see, people watched us during COVID. Many countries said, well, it has happened now. There's nothing I can do. Now, I know at least some of you, for example, would have taken advantage of the Vande Bharat mission. And during that period, if you wanted to go back to India, through the entire COVID period, we were one country who kept open the possibility that any Indian, any NRI, any OCI, anybody who has reason to go to India has the ability to go to India. And in fact, if you look at the Vande Bharat mission, we brought back 70 lakhs, 7 million people. No country in the history of the world has ever done anything similar. But, and it isn't, again, as I said, it's not a one-off. Today, if our students are stuck in Ukraine, or we had recently fighting in Sudan, there's a sort of civil war type situation in Sudan. We had people, there were almost 5,000 Indians, because today, for Indians, it's a global workplace. Indians, there's no country where Indians are not working or investing or trading or studying. But today, Indians are confident that the government will have their back, that we will come to their support. And other countries watch us. And for other countries, their sense about India is by what we do in Ukraine. The message is not only to our own people, the message is actually to the entire world. But one part of it is how to look after your own. The other part of it is also that we have increasingly responded to the needs of others. You had some months ago, you will remember, an earthquake in Turkey. We were among the first countries who were actually able to very quickly send in planes, send in a medical team, send in we had people with dogs who were trying to pick out survivors. And in fact, if any of you have time to look at the YouTube, there's some really very touching videos of the Indian disaster force which is operating from a school. And they made the school into a hospital. And they are actually treating people who are being pulled out of the buildings. Now, again, Turkey is a recent example. But, so you saw it when Nepal had an earthquake, when Yemen had a civil war, when Myanmar had a cyclone, even when Fiji in the Pacific had problems, and when Mozambique had floods. So this idea of an India which will look after its own, but an India which will also do whatever it can to deal with global problems and disaster situations, that is also changing our interest. The other, the other aspects of it, of course, in foreign policy, there's always competition, often there is tension. So a country which is able to navigate it well, a country which is able to stand up for its interests, and a lot of that has been happening. I think many of you are familiar with it. But again, people take note of a country which has ideas. We used to be once regarded as a country very difficult on climate change. Today we are seen as one of the leaders of climate change. That if you look actually at some of the biggest proposals on climate change in the last 10 years, these have been Prime Minister Modi's ideas. International Solar Alliance, there's an organization how to deal with disaster resilience. He is today, in fact, right now we have a initiative saying, please change your personal lifestyle to be more environmentally friendly. Or even on food. Today there is a grain shortage in the world. There's a grain shortage in the world which is made worse by the fact that grain is not coming out of Ukraine and Russia. And again, the leader who's pushing the idea, why don't we grow millets? Millets require less water. There are many new sources of millets which can be grown. And many of us in India actually have childhood memories of eating millets. So that is, in a sense, the picture I present to you. A country today which, again, I'm not minimizing the challenges. There will be problems. You can't be the most populous country in the world and not have problems. You can't be a developing country and not have challenges. But the issue today is how firmly, with what conviction, with what determination, with what vision and leadership we are addressing some of this. So that is the picture which I wanted to share with you. I really thank you for your attention. I truly appreciate the interest that you are taking, the fact that your attachment to your motherland is so visible to me in the expressions that you have, well, really I thank the organizers of this meeting, the embassy, for this opportunity today. So thank you again, and you would like me to stay here? So if there are any thoughts, comments, questions, suggestions, I'm always open to listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Kindly remain on the stage. We will bring the chair, and Councillor Ashwin Kotnis will moderate the brief Q&A session with the diaspora. Please remain on the stage.
Before we begin, yes, we'll ask you to raise your hands, and please introduce yourself briefly, ask the question crisply. The best questions get the best quotes, which I and my ambassador will use freely, since my ambassador is going on the stage. Yeah, just. So with your permission, shall we begin? I see some hands raised. Mr. Bhatia. Manish, can you please?
Thank you, Ashwin. Hi, I'm Sabin Bhatia. I'm the president of IIT Alumni Association of Thailand. And over the past years, our association has facilitated the collaboration of various IITs with various Thai universities successfully. We're very happy to learn that Thailand is one of the countries where Indian government has selected to make an international campus for IIT. But we haven't heard much progress over the years so far. So just wanted to hear your thoughts, Your Excellency, on what we can do to help accelerate and facilitate it. And also on behalf of association, I would like to offer our support, full support, on whatever is required on our side, because we are the local ambassador here for India. We have both Thai nationals who are IITians, and we have long-term Indian expat who are here. They're in faculty, in education line, in management line. So just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay. You want me to take question by question? Or maybe I'll take the first few and then take bunched up.
Right.
How would you like? Should I take a
couple of them, sir?
I'll take a couple of them.
I think I see Amit Vaikar. He's a Pravasi Bharati awardee as well, so he's got a question. Please raise your hands, other ones, so that I can call out after this is done. Okay, got it.
Good evening, sir. My name is Amit Vaikar. After a couple of years in China, I see myself now here in Bangkok. Sir, in this wonderful book of yours, The India Way, you have used some wonderful examples from our epic Mahabharata to explain about diplomacy. In this Amrit Kal, as Indian diplomacy truly becomes more global, as the Indian economic might gets more and more, grows more and more, along with Mahabharata, do you see some other books, other tales, other stories, which would also be something that Indian diplomats and Indian people like us should not miss? And if we miss them, then they would not be good for us. Thank you so much, sir.
I see Ms. Bose. Another one, sir? We'll take another one, sir, and then maybe. Ms. Bose there. Manish, I think there.
Good evening, sir. And I'm Dr. Manisha. I'm a lecturer in a university here. And I want to tell the nation respects you and loves you. When I say the nation, I mean all the Indian diaspora that are sitting here. I would like to request you that India is growing digitally immensely, and you just said we have it in us. So can there be a provision for Indian diaspora to vote, the ones who have Indian passport? This is, I think each one of us always feel that we want the Indian politics not just to be a discussion in our drawing rooms, but also we be a part of it, because at heart we are a very integral part of India. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, let me first respond to the IIT issue. You know, a few years ago, we introduced something called a new education policy. The new education policy essentially tries to open up the manner in which higher education institutions collaborate. It has different facets, you know. How do you get more foreign students into India? How do you set up campuses abroad? How do you have collaboration, double degrees or split degrees in a way? So as part of this, clearly, you know, the IITs have a cutting edge role, because the IITs are our best educational brand. We've encouraged different IITs to explore possibilities. Obviously, it has to be regionally spread. I must tell you, I came back last week from witnessing the signing of the first IIT going out, and this will be an IIT for Africa. So this IIT is being anchored by IIT Madras, and it is located in Zanzibar, in Tanzania. So I went to Zanzibar. They signed the agreement. They've got a place. So I would say the last quarter of this year, they should actually start the campus. They will build a campus in due course, but at least they will start the operation. The second one, which I know is in the pipeline, is the one in the Gulf. That for the Gulf, there is a IIT which is located in United Arab Emirates, and I've been on the flight and busy here, so I haven't tracked exactly what happened when Prime Minister went to UAE, but I know that this is happening. Again, every IIT which goes abroad has a partner, one specific IIT in India which has that responsibility. So in the case of Southeast Asia, very honestly, I have to check whether matters have progressed to a point where a decision is close. But certainly, if you are heading an alumni association, I don't know which IIT you are from, but I would gather the largest number with the most influence and press the IIT which is most responsive. From Bombay. But it's something which but I can tell you that is the direction we are going, that we would like the premier Indian educational institutions to actually start thinking international. Just as we would like universities from abroad, and some of it has started. This is a very complex business, because there are already other universities, they have their own rules and regulations. How do you fit? All these are issues. But for example, some Australian universities have made the decision to come to India. So there is a particular kind of pathway for them to operate in India. So I would only leave that thought with you. As I said, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think a call has been finally taken for Southeast Asia. But I would imagine we will need, to me it makes complete sense to have in the ASEAN, in the Southeast Asia area, an IIT. On the book, the Mahabharata issue. Look, I use Mahabharata for this, for those who may not be completely conversant with the question. I had, before, when I had stopped being a diplomat and before I became a minister, I had a gap, what in education you would call a gap year. Okay. So in the gap year, I wrote a book. I was usefully employed in the gap year, which doesn't happen to young people necessarily. But I wrote a book, and one of the chapters of that book was how Mahabharata can serve as a guide to deal with politics today international politics today. So my answer to you is, look, there would be anybody who's interested in tradition and I would say tradition, culture, history, inherited knowledge, can always apply that to a situation. It doesn't have, doesn't have to be India, it doesn't have to be necessarily a big epic. I mean, but some time ago when I was actually in, I think either in Pune or Baroda or something, somebody asked me a question, and I think it was in Pune. I mentioned that, look, Mahabharata is about statecraft, okay? I mean, the whole, it's two, you have Indraprasth, Hastinapur, Kaurav, Pandav, so it's like two parties, alliances, how they keep devising strategies to deal with each other. But if you take even something like Ramayana, so I actually said, if you ask me, who is the best diplomat, who would you name as the best diplomat? To me, the best diplomat, no question, is Hanuman. Now, some people thought I wasn't serious about the answer. So, but if you actually look at the role of Hanuman, that you are setting out on behalf of, I mean, in his case, Lord Rama, but let us say, take that as a country, into the unknown, dealing with another entity where you don't have that much information, your own well-being is not secure. So you have to go there, get information, find intelligence. He goes, locates Sita. He actually manages to make contact with her surreptitiously. He's able to keep her morale up. He's able to sow confusion in Ravan's court. He's able to set the place on fire, which is not my prescription for diplomats. But if you look at the totality of everything you do, and then he's able to come back, and then he's able, if you see through the war, later on when Ravana's brother Vibhishan defects, and there is actually a dispute saying, is he really broken with Ravana and come to us, or is it some kind of trick? Should you trust him or not? So again, it is Hanuman's judgment, because Hanuman says, look, in the court, when I was produced with, tied up in front of Ravana, the only person in the court who actually said, no, you don't treat an envoy like this. This is not how honorable kings deal with it. Who made that point was Vibhishan. So if somebody could stand up in a court to a very angry king and say the right thing, we should trust him. So part of the advice which he gave to Lord Rama was actually Hanuman's advice. And so one of the jobs diplomats do is to give good advice about foreign countries and sometimes problem people to their own governments. But I could think of many other examples. I mean, India, every region of India has at least one great story. And every great story is an example. The voting digital issue. Look, it's a very understandable and I must say almost universal question or request or suggestion that I get, okay, when I meet with the community. I take your point. I'm not, I'm sympathetic to it myself. I think we need to look at it because on the one hand, there are many countries who allow their nationals living abroad to vote. Okay, that's a fact. I mean, it's not difficult to list out the countries. The challenge is the scale and the complexity of our system. That you'll have to look really at voting, if you look at the number of Indian nationals living abroad, okay, it would be close, I would say, to about 17, 18 million, there is, I think, no other country which would have that skill. Then it's the voting itself, because remember, there's not one election. I mean, in India, you have a national election, you have a state election, you have a municipal election. So there's an entire commitment that you're making, and I think legally they are indivisible. So, but it is an ongoing debate in India. So let us see.
We'll have the next round. Nikon, you I think had somebody there on the other side.
His Excellency, sir. My name is Dr. Harsh Sethi. So we have seen in last 35 years where I have been here, we have seen India progressing, and not only just in the IT field, but fields of medicine, insurance, politics as well. And we have seen that India has started to assert itself under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. So we know in 2024 it will be Modi, Prime Minister Modi, sure. But what about 2029? Will you be the face of India, sir?
Maybe Manish Maharaj, I think there's some Papni, I think Papni Thakur here in front. Here. I think he has a question.
Namaskar. I'm Chuan Thakur, known as a Papni also, President of Indian Association of Thailand. As India digital trinity called JAM, Janadhan and Aadhaar
mobile.
And mobile.
Yes.
This has taken India with a storm, which changed the lives of Indians. I'm curious to know where ASEAN or India in Thailand, is it possible to bring UPI transaction over here? Thank you.
There's another question from, I think, Dinesh here. We'll take another round. Please raise your hand when the time comes.
Honorable Minister, thank you so much for coming over here. It's an absolute honor to be over here and welcome you back. My name is Dinesh Agaskar, and I'm today representing over here Indian Association of Thailand. Sir, as you see, we have a huge Indian diaspora over here, and we are very well connected to the motherland in India as well. So my question to you is that what can we do in particular to be a part of the success story of India that you just envisage? Thank you.
I can take one more. Huh? I'll
Ms.
take one more.
Okay, you can. Ms. Agarwal here wants to ask a question.
Yeah. Sir, I'm tilting the question on the international politics. I had opportunity to meet Mr. Pompeo. How do you see this Ukraine conflict getting resolved? Because it's already 1 year and it is really dragging the Europe down. What is your personal feeling? And what do you think about Taiwan conflict, if there is any Taiwan and China conflict? I mean, we operate in 36 countries, so certainly this is a big concern for us.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't initially get, you said you had an opportunity to meet somebody?
Mr. Pompeo in
Mike
CEO Roundup, yes, Mike Pompeo.
Okay. All right. Okay. Look, the first question on my left, if you look at somebody like Prime Minister Modi, what is different? What is extraordinary about him? What is extraordinary about him is actually an enormous ability to sort of get the pulse of so many things, distill that into policy, into programs, into make it actionable. So leadership, you have to understand, has many aspects of it. Often, especially in a digital age, we see the end product. Okay. The end product is, say, Prime Minister talking to you or to the nation, in Man Ki Baat or in some address. But behind that, and for me, as you know, I'm very new in the world of politics. I have observed politicians all my life. I mean, one of the things you get to do as a diplomat is you meet politicians abroad, you meet politicians in India. So it's one thing to actually watch politicians, it's another thing to enter the world of politics. And you have to see, you know, what a enormous, I would say, that world is a all-consuming. You know, it's a 24/7. It's not a world of weekends and, you know, this day and that day. It's relentless. It is a sort of saturated world of many things. For me, especially as a country which is you know, poised at the level where it is, I feel, you know, it's been an enormous good fortune of the country to have somebody like this at this time. And I'm not saying this because, you know, he's the Prime Minister of the day and I'm a member of his cabinet. I'm saying it because if you look at even the points I shared with you, that you have a huge, you know, once in a century health challenge. It's only somebody who's so grounded, who's immediately saying, okay, there's a health challenge, but what will you do for the person going back home? You know, how will you feed that person? What will you do for the person, how will you put money into, and whose bank account should you put the money? You know, the idea that we should actually focus a lot on the women, that the women will manage that money better. I would say very honestly, it's not an idea which would have occurred to why am I saying this to you? I say this, that take that sense of what a leader of a country like India is about in a very considered way. That leadership is something, good leaders are people very grounded, very experienced, with an enormous feel for what is happening, but who also have that passion, that desire to take the country to a different level, who have that ability to go from the ground to up there, you know, be enormously visionary and enormously grounded. And I can tell you such people honestly come once in a lifetime. The UPI question. You know, there would be interest because we have reached an agreement with Singapore. The UPI system is operational in Singapore. My feedback, very preliminary, is actually very substantial amount of transactions have taken place using UPI. UPI is also now getting operational with UAE. So there is an interest in taking it out to different parts of the world. We have got expressions of interest from different countries. I would certainly say countries where we have a substantial trade, where we have a big Indian community, where we have actually these volumes of transaction between that country and India, these are natural candidates for UPI. Okay, so I'm very confident that, you know, with each experience, because others will also see. I mean, for me today, if I were to engage Thailand, and you know, Ambassador just reminded me that engagement has already taken place at some levels. I could actually point to them 2 examples today, saying, look, it's working there, it's working there. And I think that will help people make the decision. So hopefully the next time I'm here, you would already have that answer to your question. On, you know, what can, you know, community, you know, how does community contribute? In a way, I would say, in a way, everybody is doing it. Because one part of our image in the world is what happens in India and how we perform in terms of our growth or under stress or in contributions to the world. But one part of it is countries, other societies, other leaderships judge us by the community with which they deal. You know, that in my own personal experiences, pretty much wherever I have gone, it is actually the Indian community, the success stories, the personal connections, the cumulative image, but behind that, people put faces. You know, one thing I always tell Indian community, that for people abroad, India is not a country. India is a face, India is a person, India is a relationship. They will look at one of you, and in their mind, that is India. So the better you do, the better you are regarded, the more trusted you are, the more valued you are, the more contributive you are. That is really the most that you can do. But having said that, I also would make one practical suggestion after 4 decades of doing embassies. It's very important for the embassy and the community to stay connected. You know, it's not like, you know, I do not want the embassy to be flooded. I do not want the community to think somebody is trying to micromanage their lives. But I think it's a very natural, useful, comfortable relationship which will serve both of them very, very well, because often the embassy with a very, you know, with a very light touch is able to share with you, you know, the directions in which, you know, what is happening, where is it going, what is the larger picture. Those are things which are quite useful coming out of embassy. So I would actually encourage all of you to have that sentiment, but I know many of you already do. On these two complex geopolitical questions, I mean, I'm sure you have already got some insights, but look, from, I can, you know, how an American would view it would be very different from how an Indian would view it. And how an Indian would view today these situations of actual or potential tension, you know, of a conflict, it's not necessarily restricted to what you said. Because we are today's, you know, we are today the presidency of the G20. Okay. One of our big issues is this. If you ask roughly about, there are 200 countries in the world. If you ask these 200 countries, about 150 of these countries will tell you our problems today are debt, trade disruption, high cost of energy, high cost of money, shortage of dollars. These are actually, you know, our budgets are shrinking. We are not able to access, you know, the cost of money has gone up. Our education, health programs are down. We don't have money to finance climate change. Everybody gives us lectures that you must grow greener, but, you know, there's no resources to back it up. So we feel today, and that's why we did this Voice of Global South, that how do we actually keep the focus on the right issues, on the long-term issues. What developing countries want today most of all? They want stability, they want peace, they want predictability, they want trade to work smoothly. They don't want to see the kind of shipping, airline, insurance disruptions that we have seen in the last 3 or 4 years. So today there is a huge sentiment against conflict, against tension, against anything, you know, I mean, in a way I would say it's not just the businessman who wants a good atmosphere for business today. I think societies want business, you know, they want growth, and growth will happen if there's a positive business environment. So we would today have, my cumulative answer would be that any situation which adds to the tension, to the conflict, to the difficulties of the global economy is bad. And our effort would be, how do you mitigate it? How do you ideally prevent it, discourage it, solve it, do something about it?
So shall we end it, sir?
Maybe I'll take
another 2, sir?
Just 2 more.
Another 2. So maybe Manish, I think you have somebody there. Yeah, a lady, please.
So नमस्कार सभी को, and हमें बहुत खुशी है कि हमें ये भाग्य मिला. I can ask you a question. So as a youth of Thailand, as a youth of Bharat, staying in Thailand for my entire life, I envision to be a member of the parliament. And if I have the capability and if I have the blessings of my people, I would also like to be the Prime Minister. And if not me, at least I would like to see other youths go to that stage. And your guidance, what should I do right now to be able to envision this vision into a reality? Just as the condition of New Zealand is, so how can we have a very youth-driven nation in reality? That's my question. हमारा नाम है प्रज्वल दौलत भोसले, and I'm studying in Mahidol University currently.
I will take another one from Nikon. Mr. Karan, standing. That's the last one.
Good evening, sir. My name is Karan Singh, and I'm one of the directors of India Thai Chamber of Commerce and the president of Overseas Friends of BJP Thailand chapter under Vijay Chauthai Walaji. Sir, my question is, can we use OCI card instead of Aadhaar card in India? Because to make Aadhaar card in India, we have to be a resident of India, and we have to stay at least 6 months in India, then only we can apply for Aadhaar card. So, to buy property in India or sell property in India, can we use OCI card in India or not, sir? This is my question, and is there any other facilities OCI card holders can get?
No, I got that. I think we'll take one more and round it off. Huh?
Another one.
So there's one gentleman.
There's a lady called.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Sharma, maybe. Yeah, he's standing up. I'm sorry, there's one more.
Hi sir, good evening. My name is Alpesh. I am a corporate expat working in Southeast Asia for a Dubai company, DP World. And same question links to this one is that the business travel for an Indian passport based out of here gets a bit difficult. There is something called the APAC card, which is there, but obviously we are not APAC. So if there is something we can do to make the business travel better, that would be very nice.
Okay. There's one lady next to you. Would you pass? I saw her raise her hand. Would you give the mic to her so that we'll finish there? Yeah.
Namaste. I'm Shrutkirti. I'm a student here in Bangkok, and I'm also pursuing longevity entrepreneurship in Thailand, specifically in integrative medicine and Ayurveda. So this is what my question was about. Ayurveda and integrative medicine and other forms of traditional medicine are a huge part of culture in India. But being NRIs and other people internationally as well don't have access to this kind of medicine, hugely because of restrictive policy, and specifically in Thailand. And I think it's very important for us to go back to our roots. Do you think there are any efforts currently being made for this to be translated into our lives?
Sure. Okay, got it. Thank you. Let me start with the young lady who would like to be Prime Minister one day. I wish you well. I can only say, you know, in a way you're asking the wrong person because I am, as I said, I'm a relative novice in politics. I got into it by accident. I never imagined I would. It was a totally different line. I don't have anybody, no family member, nothing. So it is, in a sense, it was only because it was this Prime Minister that, in a way, I would say, could have someone like me who otherwise would not have gone in that direction actually enter the political field. But I'm very glad that you are showing interest and aptitude very early on. I'll just make one point to you. You know, my own experience is today, while we all value experience, and understandably, we are also seeing that the younger people are obviously, understandably, able to embrace or capture a lot of the change far more effectively. So, if you look across the world and say, okay, look at opportunity, what can I do? My own sense is, even the idea of changing a society or leading a society or shaping a society, one doesn't anymore have to think about it necessarily in an orthodox term. You don't have to be necessarily, say, a minister or a community leader. There are so many other ways. I mean, if you take today, say, a list of the top 50 influential people, impactful people in the world, I guarantee you at least half of them will not be in the world of politics. So I just leave that thought with you, but I don't want to discourage you. Okay. So on the OCI Aadhaar, my only point is they are meant for very different purposes. So the OCI was meant for people abroad who had taken nationality, who wanted to build a connection with the land of their origin, whereas Aadhaar had the whole idea was to give a digital identity for them to operate within India. But the basic point you made is a point worth thinking about. I suspect people have reflected on it, which is what do we do to have as India becomes more and more digitized, it should not be that the OCI card holders are deprived of the benefits of digitization, because more and more services will only be digitally available. So clearly, it is something I will go back and reflect on it and maybe come back to you with what is the thinking on that score. On the APEC card, look, we haven't become members of APEC for some time. There was a time when there was a debate on this issue. At that time, APEC had actually closed membership. So I don't right now know where things stand. What I do know is that the next APEC meeting is in November in the US. And when we were in the US, when Prime Minister had gone there, President Biden had invited him to attend APEC. So I right now don't know the answer, but my common sense tells me that you can't, to get an APEC card, obviously we have to become an APEC member. The last issue, the Ayurveda issue, I'm actually very glad you asked that question, because one of the things we are doing today is to promote Ayurveda, in fact traditional medicine. Now, there are 2-3 very interesting things you should know. One, the WHO, during this whole COVID period, a lot of people actually developed very deep interest, much broader interest in wellness, in you can say in preventives or mitigation, and they found, we could see almost like a big shift in the openness of mind to Ayurveda and to other forms of traditional medicine. I have gone around in the world and asked other countries who have strong traditional medicine practices, and many of them report very similar feedback. Now, we had 2 years ago the WHO decide that they will create a global center for traditional medicine, and I'm happy to say that that center is being created right now. It is in Jamnagar in Gujarat. As a government, we have actually created an Ayush department. So the Ayush department actively propagates the spread of Ayurveda, and we certainly believe that with a lot of countries where there are regulatory impediments, that there are, and a lot of the regulatory impediments are, one is a lack of understanding, two is a kind of a zero-sum game that somewhere we are taking things away from the pharma, the orthodox pharma industry. So it's something we need to work on. I think many other countries who have similar interests, I see this in Latin America, I saw it in fact about, when I went to New Zealand and to the Pacific Islands, in Africa. So there is a big constituency out there, there's a global constituency out there, and it is something which certainly we would like to harness. In fact, I must tell you, next week, there's the first ASEAN-India Traditional Medicine conference which is taking place, and Thailand, by the way, is participating in it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to request Minister and Ambassador to remain on the stage, and all of us here as well, kindly be seated. We have still one more speech to go, the vote of thanks, but before that we'll take a photo session with our generous supporters who've made this event possible. So I'd like to invite on the stage the first set of the people, Indorama, DK Agrawal and Ramesh Narsinghpura on the stage. Kindly remain seated. We have one vote of thanks to go for the final speech. For the next round of photo session, ADI Resourcing, Amit Lal Singh, Elson's Diamond, Mahesh Chandra Jugraj, Fundo, Bhavnish Malhotra, Flawless Indian Diamond and Color Stone, Indian Thai Diamond and Color Stone, Sunil Kothari, and Pawan Kumar Mishra, Atul Jagani, and Prateep Singhal. And for the next set of photo session, please be ready. From ACEO Ace Global, Vasudev Singh Chawla. Fraser Sweets, Arvind Kumar Sachdev. From IIT, Chuan Thakur. From Tata Steel, Taran Daga. From Thai Bharat Cultural Lodge, Rajendra Pandey. From Thai Japan, Pinderpal Madan. And United Global, Cecil Khorana. And next would be the ITCC directors. Kindly get ready. And for the final set of the photo session with the ITCC directors, kindly proceed to the stage. And ITCC President will also present the token of appreciation, the memento, to the Minister himself. And now the President of the ITCC will present the memento to Honorable Minister Dr. S. Jayashankar. And the final speech for the evening, the vote of thanks. I'd like to invite to the podium Honorary Secretary of the ITCC, Amit Lal Singh. Kindly remain seated until we have the final vote of thanks from the ITCC Honorary Secretary, Amit Lal Singh.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of ITCC, I would like to thank Honorable Minister Dr. S. Shankarji, His Excellency Ambassador Sir, and all senior officials from Government of India for being here for the wonderful evening. Dr. Jayashankarji, your presence and words of encouragement today have filled us with immense joy and pride. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Indian Embassy for giving ITCC this opportunity to host this magnificent event and supporting us on every step. To all the executive directors of ITCC, volunteers and performers, and those behind the scenes who have worked hard, tireless to make this gathering happen. Thank you to you all. To all this team ITCC members, guests from various associations of Thailand, your presence here reflects our shared value and aspirations. Last but not the least, I would like to thank corporates for being with us to help ITCC organize this event. With this, we would like to end this event. Thank you all. Please be seated till our minister leaves the place. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Please be seated. Please be seated. Please be seated.
Kindly cooperate. Please be seated.